So look, I'm very excited today that I've got Amy Andrews with me from bloggingwithamy.com. I'm a big fan of Amy. She's a wonderful blogger, very generous, gets a lot of comments and answers each and every one of them. I know from experience. And she's also a bestseller author on Amazon. So I'm like to introduce everyone to Amy. Amy, how are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me, Kate. This will be fun.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic because I know your blog so well. Sometimes when I interview people, I'm not really knowing their work that well, and it's really tough. But for you, I could interview you till the cows come in. I could go on for hours because I've got a lot of questions for you. So now I'm going to just grab my questions that I've got written out. Did you read through them, or did any of them scare you or anything?
Oh no, I'm not easily scared.
Okay, that's good. I am.
Oh.
I get terrified before podcast interviews. Don't ask me why, but I
Oh.
get stage anxiety, even though there's no stage. But anyway, now look. First of all, let's just briefly talk about you for a moment. Do you? I love asking this question. It's probably the best question I love asking. Is do you define yourself as a blogger?
Well, not really. I
Okay.
when people ask me, what do you do, or I don't think I'm really asked that question very often. I don't think.
Right.
Normally, the way that it comes out is they find out that my husband is working part-time and I'm working part-time. That's kind of how it usually happens because we have a really interesting setup. Um, we homeschool our children and we tag team, and so he works part-time and I work part-time, and so usually, I get the look like, well, how does that go? And
Yeah.
then it kind of, then usually I might say, well, I'm a blogger or I work online. I'm trying to move away from the blogger, um,
Title.
the
Yeah.
blogger
Yeah.
title, not because there's anything wrong with it, but I just think that it really does encompass so much more, than just
Yeah.
blogging.
Then what
So,
you're doing, yeah. So you're saying you're not just blogging, you're actually sort of running a small business and writing and
right. Yeah, like
yeah.
self-employed. Who was it the other day? I remember reading, I think it was Allie Worthington. I don't know if you know Allie Worthington.
Not
She's
off the top, no.
okay, she runs a really big conference here in the States and in Canada, actually called Blistum.
Okay.
And I was in a Facebook group with her recently, and I thought she had a great thing to say, which was, I don't call it blogging anymore. I just tell people I'm an online publisher, and
Okay.
so I
Well, a
thought
lot of
that's a
people,
good thing.
yeah, a lot of people see it as journalism now.
Yeah,
So they say I'm an
yeah,
online journalist. Yeah.
yeah. I
It
think
makes
that's
sense.
totally fair. Yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah.
writing, you're online. I mean, if you're making money doing it in any way, you're a small business owner, entrepreneur. I mean, you could go
Yeah.
any one of many directions, I think.
Yeah. So if you went for a home loan, you would probably say you're a small business owner. That's really about it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say
Yeah.
self-employed. Yeah, I work online.
Okay, now that's excellent. I'm always interested in how people see, the tag blogger, if they think it's a professional word or not. Not very often they're like you. They go, "Oh, not really." So, I understand that. But what about blogging? When did you start blogging? What sort of got you into it?
I started blogging in 2004, actually. And I
Right.
can't say that my blogging journey started with anything really, amazing or noble. What happened was I had a cousin who emailed me one day or didn't even email me, kind of sent out a general email, I think, to his family and friends. Of course, I was on that list as his cousin. He was like, "Hey, I just got a new website," because he had started a nonprofit before that, and he said, "I got a new website," and I don't know what it was, but until that time, I was the internet just felt like it was a place for, really smart, highly educated computer geeky types, you
I was
know.
going to say porn.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, maybe that too. But
Yeah.
but I was so amazed by that here was my cousin, who had no computer background himself, and he
Right.
had his own
Yeah.
website. So I
Mm.
thought, well, if he can do
Hmm.
it, I'm sure I could do it too. So
Oh, I'm sure he's going to love this interview.
basically, I just wanted to be really cool like my cousin.
Yes, right. No, that's a good
So,
save. Good save.
yeah.
Um, so that's so then you just went and did you start with a blogger blog or a WordPress blog? I mean, how did you go there?
I started, I'm trying to think now, but what happened was I just Googled how, basically how do you start your own website? I did a lot of reading at the beginning, and it was very quickly in that I found actually ProBlogger,
Yes.
and then, I was a part of different forums and things like that. I think I was the only female among all these, these guys, but
Yeah.
they were so kind and, answered my questions and stuff. And one of them had mentioned right at the beginning, if you want your own website, really the easiest way to do that is just to set up a blog. And if you do set up a blog, go with WordPress. So I started on WordPress right from the beginning.
Right. Okay. So, so for you, you said you keep saying you want to start up a website. So at first you didn't really make the difference between the two, but obviously then when he said that, you said, okay, I'll do a blog. Is that sort of because when your cousin did it, did he say he was setting up a blog or a website?
He said he was setting up a website. And so
Mm.
I was just thinking, okay, website. And I
Yeah.
actually, at the very, very, very beginning, I found, I don't even know where it was now, but I found a site that taught you very basic HTML, that you
Mm.
could create your own web page. But I mean, it was very basic.
Mm.
So then I was I don't remember if I had heard about blogs before that, but it was probably about the same time. But back then, I mean, that was way back in the day.
Yeah.
That was like a blog was an online journal, basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but so then I was introduced quickly thereafter to
Mm.
this idea that you use the blogging software, and
Mm.
with the blogging software, you can create a website that's static, or you can create a blog, or, however you want
Mm.
to do it. So,
You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
yeah.
But when you started, what was your goal? To write about your family? To write about a business? What was, or just no goal?
My goal was to be cool like my cousin.
Okay. So,
Yeah, you know what? I really didn't have a goal. It was basically
right.
just like, can I do this?
Okay.
This is fascinating to me. And that was actually one of the things that was really sort of a reality check, because as soon as I started it, then I was like, oh, wow, I did it. I can't believe I did it. And then it
Mm.
hit me
Mm.
like, oh, now I have to actually write. Like
Yeah.
if I want to keep this,
How is like work?
this going, I've actually got to add content, so that was a little disheartening because I don't like to write. So
Yeah, the work pit's always a downside, isn't it?
right. Yes.
Yeah, the
So
routine. I know. So do you still enjoy blogging? Is that still something you really love, or are you just, going with the flow or
I do enjoy it. I would say that the writing is comes very difficult for me. I don't know that that was
right.
grammatically correct, but yeah, the
Yeah.
writing itself is not easy for me, but I do enjoy the whole process. I'm so fascinated by what happens online. I love the
Mm.
idea that there's a low barrier to entry. Basically, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And you don't really need a lot of background either. So,
No. Or a lot of money or whatever.
right,
It's funny that you say that you found writing not that easy because when you read your blog posts, they really are quite good. I mean, they flow well, they're personal, they don't look like an internet marketer's just, PLR spam.
right.
It's interesting you say it's difficult and maybe that's why you write so well because you actually put a lot of effort into it.
Oh,
Do you,
thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
That's encouraging. Yeah, I blog posts for me take hours and hours and hours.
right,
So
right.
I
Yeah.
can't,
Oh,
it's amazing to me when I hear somebody say, "Oh yeah, I wrote it in 15 minutes."
yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
then I think just the nature of blogging with Amy is, a lot of tutorials and a lot of step by step. So what happens to me is I'll say, "Okay, I'm going to write about this." And then I'll start the writing, and then I'll think to myself, oh, if I say that, I have to teach them how to do that first, right?
Yes,
And
yeah.
like,
Because I've
oh,
noticed that you're doing a lot of links. You're doing a lot of links, which is
right,
so professional, you know?
right. Like, yeah, you can't, you like something like that, you can't just write, a lot of times I think I do make assumptions that people know more than they know because sometimes my sister will read it and she was like, I did not understand what you said. And I'm like, well, I tried so hard.
Well, ask your geeky cousin and not your sister,
That's
and
right.
maybe you'll get more positive reviews. Okay. Have you noticed any negative stuff that you've got from blogging, or would you say in general it's been a good ride?
I think in general, it has definitely been a good ride. I
Mm.
have learned a lot, and towards the beginning, I had the same issue that I think a lot of bloggers have, which is not expecting people to be reading it. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I actually started blogging, I did not start blogging with Amy as my first blog. I started a blog, after I realized, after I had that realization that I actually have to write something.
Yeah.
Really, what was going on in my life at the time was I was sort of struggling my way through this period in my life where my husband was a pastor at a church that was a very difficult situation. And so I was like, well, I'll just blog about that, And so I started, you know,
And then the Congress started reading it, did they?
yes, right, yes.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
I think back and I think, wow, I would not write some of the same stuff that I wrote
Right.
then, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you live
That's
and
fine.
learn,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Look, I find that too. Sometimes bloggers start, bitching about stuff, and then, oh, I got one of the mums barreled me up at school yesterday and took me to point on it. Obviously I can't write what I want anymore, and it's like, well,
Right.
yeah, but that's maybe she needed that confrontation anyway. If she's writing about it, clear the air. So, just with your blog, just to wrap up a bit more on your blog, do you see it continuing? Because at the minute, I just want to get across to the listener that really your blog is a go-to place if you want to learn how to blog, right? Everything is so. I've never actually. You know what? It's the best one I know of online that
Oh,
teaches how
thank
to blog.
you. Oh,
It is
thank
that good. Yeah, it's because even Pro Blogger, he's aiming at someone who already blogs, right? In
right.
my opinion, anyway. So, um, do you see it going that way further, creating more products, maybe more video training and stuff like that? Is that, in the sights for you?
Yeah, right now, actually, I'm really trying to think through how I can make it more uh, streamlined, how I can make it even easier to follow, or reorganizing my content. I actually have a redesign in the works, and I what I'd like is for me right now when I go to this site, I think a lot of it is um, most of it I think I've tried to make it easy to read for somebody who's just coming in. But the problem is, especially in that niche, is that the information changes so fast. So a post that, people will stumble across a post that I wrote 2 years ago, let's say, how to create a Facebook landing page. Like 2 years ago, that was a huge thing, when before timelines and all of that was even, even in the picture at all. You would create a Facebook landing page where somebody would basically have to like your page in order to get to your main page. Well, I did a whole tutorial on that. So
Yeah, and that's changed now, hasn't it?
yeah, so it's totally
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
somebody coming to my site at this point, there's a lot of posts that just aren't that are irrelevant now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a challenge to know how to make it relevant
Yeah.
as things change.
So, are you saying that I'm just trying to narrow down? Are you saying that you would create products now that will nail what's current, and that way you can also earn an income from this? Or are you saying that you're just thinking about updating, or maybe you're not wanting to anymore? It's too much work. Where are you going with that?
Oh no, I plan to continue doing.
Updating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plan to continue updating. Now, I don't know that I will keep writing in the same format, meaning
Right.
I don't know that I'll keep doing, regular blog posts all the time, just to avoid that. that
Yep.
information, stale information syndrome, for lack of a better
Right.
term.
It's a nice term. Yeah.
So,
I like that one.
yeah.
Okay. What about products? I mean, I know you've got your book, Time Management.
Hmm.
So we'll talk about that in a minute. But do you have any other goals for products? That's what I'm interested in.
Oh yeah, I have way too many ideas and not enough get it done ish.
Oh, you make me crazy. Because you know what? You've got such a wonderful platform there that, do you know what? The sky's the limit for you. If you actually sat down and did a strategy, maybe you and I should brainstorm one day because really, you would go off with products. I mean, you might want to outsource the creation if that's an issue, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, you should look at it because you could really add some fantastic value out there.
Oh, thank
So,
you. Yeah, I have
yeah.
a whole list of ideas,
Mm,
things to pursue, ways to monetize, things that I'd like to do down the road.
mm,
My problem really is if you would split the world into two, thinkers and doers, I'm more of a doer. So I have a virtual assistant now that is great, that I'm trying to remember. I'm better at thinking. I just need to let her do. So I'm
mm.
trying to, but what I'm finding is this challenge, which is knowing, really, it's like the art of delegation and how to delegate
Yeah.
in a way that really works. So we're just sort of getting into a rhythm. So
Yeah, I outsource as well. And sometimes it takes longer to delegate the task than to go and do it. But you have to
right.
because it's part of growing. So you've got to keep at that.
Well, and I was just reading an article by Michael Hyatt. Do you know Michael Hyatt?
Yes,
Yeah,
love my quiet. Yeah.
yeah, me too. And he had just last week, I think, had a post about delegating and how to delegate, and he was talking about that. And really, his it was just really helpful, because he was just talking about the importance of it does take time at the beginning, but the importance of writing down exactly how you want it done. And so once you do that once and you say, okay, this is how I want it done and hand it over, then, you save
Yeah,
yourself so much time in the long run. So
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So you've got to persevere. I understand. Look, I want to just touch on your book Time Management. So when did you actually release this on Amazon?
on Amazon, it was 2011. I
Okay.
released it as a PDF in 2010.
Right.
So,
How is that going? How did you go promoting it? Did you just promote it from your blog or did you have a big marketing strategy or what was the go? Because I know it's done really well and it's got like 70 reviews, which is it's really high, the reviews.
yeah.
Um, which is, I know, and in the book, because I know I got it a year ago, and it says in the book, if you like this, go and leave me a review. So that's the call to action. It obviously paid off, really. So you're quite smart.
Well,
Um, so was it part of a marketing strategy or just you just mentioned it on your blog or
no, you know what? I think there were a couple of things happening with Tell Your Time. Number one was that it was before you saw a lot of, ebooks coming out. I mean, now there are so many,
yeah, yeah,
I'd say in the last 2 years especially, ebooks have really taken off. But
yeah,
back in the middle of 2010, it was, sort of a new thing for a lot
yeah,
of bloggers. It wasn't completely new because there were ebooks, but I just saw this ebook thing going on because one of my favorite things really about the whole blogging thing is reading, and I follow a lot of blogs and just what are people doing? How are they doing it? Why are they doing it? Is it working for them? That's really what's fascinating to me. So I saw the
mm,
whole ebook thing, craze beginning, and I thought, you know what? This would be this would be cool to get in on, but again, I'm afraid of writing. So what happened was at about that time, I was helping another blogger, um, Crystal Payne from moneysavingmom.com, who
right,
I mean, her blog is ginormous, and
okay,
so I was helping her just with, brainstorming ideas and strategizing and, streamlining and stuff like that. And one day she just mentioned, she was having trouble with time management, and So I just kind of pounded out this email, and like, well, this is kind of how it makes sense to me in my head. And I sent it to her and she wrote me back and was like, wow, that is so helpful. She's like, you should totally write that in an ebook. And I was like, oh, no, I don't do ebooks. But then
Yeah,
she's like,
that's
no, really, really. So really that's how it started. And I was like, oh,
right.
okay, I'll just do that. And really it was her. So yeah, it was her, like I said, her blog is huge. So
Right.
she promoted it for me and that was a huge
Okay.
boost. And
Yes,
then,
that would have been good.
I just all of the readers that I had gotten, I'm like, hey guys, I'm doing this experiment. I'm doing this ebook thing. Because really no one else had been doing it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this experiment thing, and I wrote this ebook, and if you want to be an affiliate for the ebook, I'll give you 50%. And
Right.
so I mean,
So
people.
what gave you that idea for affiliate? Did she mention that as well?
No, I don't think I got it from her. I think at that point I had just, in my research, like how do you write an ebook and how do you do it?
Yeah.
How do you launch it and everything's at
Okay.
some point I heard, it's easy to do. Maybe it was ProBlogger. You can
Okay.
become an affiliate through eJunkie and it's relatively easy to do and stuff. So I just started the affiliate program and that was really the thing that kind of boosted it.
So was
Initially,
that on eJunkie, the affiliate program?
yeah, I used
Okay.
eJunkie, and then it was a year. It was just available in PDF as a
Gotcha.
PDF, and then um, and then
Then you put it
some
on Amazon.
yeah, then I put it on Amazon, and then there was another. It was I edited it again and released a second version, and this time put it on Amazon.
Right.
So
That's fantastic. Now I'm going to ask you a technical question,
sure,
which I'm interested if you know the answer. You may not. Do you think time to tell time what is it? Time to tell? Tell your
tell your
time.
time.
Sorry, sorry, that's right. It's a tricky one. Tell your time. Do you think that book on Amazon brings you more traffic than what your blog sends to Tell Your Time? Because there's a big search engine on Amazon happening, right?
Right.
And they buy your book and they go, oh, who's this Amy? And do you find them, do you have any idea or do you reckon it's about 50-50 or?
I don't think that I get a lot of traffic to my
Right.
blog from Amazon, because
Okay.
really, if you want to, like basically the way that they would get from Amazon to my blog is if they clicked on my author name and went to my author page, and on
Right.
my author page, they have, my blog is listed there and whatever. But the thing with my ebook is that my blog is about blogging, or my main blog is about blogging. And this
Mm,
one is about time management. So they're
yeah.
not entirely, the same. So I
I know. I
wonder
know.
if it
Yeah.
would be different. Like if my
Yeah.
blog was about time management, I probably would get more traffic. But
Yeah. I actually, I mean, I'd love you to split test that and go just upload a new version of your book with a page saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. Come and visit me. I bet you get traffic that way. But anyway, look, I won't push you, but
thank you for
it's
the
just an
suggestion.
idea. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any other books on Amazon?
Nope. That's
No. Do you have any other books at all?
Nope. That's at this
That's
point. That's all I've got. It took those 30 pages took all that I had.
and that was quite a few years ago. So, it's saying
Yeah.
a lot, isn't it?
No,
Do
I
you,
do have another. I have another book in me that's brewing,
okay.
but we'll see if that ever. I'm thinking now. Maybe I don't want to make it into a book. Maybe I want to make it into something else. I don't know. So
Yeah. I'd love you to use Amazon as a lead gen. So have a
yeah.
book, but to lead to a product that you sell for $200. That's my little tip for you. That's the way I do it, and that's the way other people do it now. That Amazon really, you don't even get the email address, so it's
Right.
really luck if you even get them. But anyway, so Google Analytics, just very quickly, do you watch any of your analytics
Nope,
at
not a
all?
lot. No.
No. Okay.
I'm
No, fair enough.
yeah, I mean I track the basics, but I just I don't want to be a slave to the numbers. I mean, I am to a certain extent, but mostly it's just a matter of time, and
Yeah. Yeah.
not having the time or the patience.
So, subscribers, have you got one list? How do you keep them on MailChimp or Weber or?
Right now, my main lists are on FeedBlitz, is
Okay.
where I've got them. And I do have, well, I have a handful of lists because what happens to me is I find a cool service and I think, oh, I'm going to sign up with that service because I want to try it. And
Yeah.
so then I mean, I'm getting smarter about it now, but back in the day when I didn't have a whole lot of traffic and whatever, I started a list here and I started a list there and whatever. So I'm actually in the process of cleaning up my lists, and I deleted. This was very sad. I just deleted. I don't even remember how many people from a list because it
Mm.
was it was old,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
just, I didn't want to like email them out of the blue and, you know,
Yeah.
so
Um, so when you say you're collecting a lot of lists, are they like going into that one feed blitz list, or do you have separate lists?
I have, see, my site has kind of got two things going. I've got
Okay.
my blogging tips, which really is kind of my big blog, blogging with Amy. But I'm trying to rebrand and I'm trying to funnel everything through amylynnandrews.com.
Right.
So, because I have a bunch of other projects I have actually done and have started, that aren't related to blogging, that I would
Mm.
like to sort of resurrect, and because there's a lot of potential there as well. So
Yeah.
I've got two lists at the moment going, and actually, I mean, my blogging with Amy list is a lot bigger, but my list for Amy Lynn Andrews is kind of growing on its own. So,
Great. Great.
um,
So you're not doing autoresponders or anything like that, obviously, are you?
no, not at this
No.
point. No.
No. So they're just getting blasts when you do a new post, basically.
Right, but that is likely to change. Likely
Okay.
to change with my new redesign. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, so I'm just thinking, I think I've asked everything I wanted to pry about. And do you have anything you want to tell me about or you want to discuss before we say goodbye or?
Well, now I'm curious about the thing that you just said about Amazon and driving traffic back to your site where you sell your products. So, do you have a book on Amazon?
Look, at the minute, I'm just about to launch some. I do have some
Okay.
under a pen name,
Oh, okay.
but and they do quite well. But I mean, this is something I'm working on at the moment, and the feedback I get from people, and I'll let you know. I mean, I'll share my stats with you if you want. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I've heard it's huge lead generator if you're keyword enriched.
Right.
And it's a 99 cent book, so people don't have expectations of
Hmm.
the best book in the world, and it has to solve a problem, so
Right.
it just make it relevant to your niche. So for you, you can smother Amazon in blogging tips. And if you've been on Amazon lately and seen the quality of the books out there, they're not bad, but you would do 10 times better. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
if you're willing to sell for 99 cents, just using it as lead gen and
Yeah.
having an offer in there that says, come to my blog and I'll give you this free, 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 they will just do it, because don't assume that those buyers on Amazon are like you and I, because we're trained in the industry and we
Hmm.
know it's all lead gen, right? We get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But the typical person who doesn't know comes onto Amazon and it says, go to my book, my website, and you get this free. And they go, oh my gosh,
Right.
really? But you and I know that this is a marketing strategy. They don't read that way, because they haven't done this their whole life. So it's not an imprint on their mind they're being ripped off. They just go, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. I'll go get that free. And then, of course,
Yeah.
2 years down the track, they go, oh God, I got so sold. As we all did, right? At some
Yeah.
point, we got sold, and that's how it works. So don't overthink it. Just give it a whirl. Put up some books on blogging. Without a doubt, it's going to do really well for you, Amy. I mean, without a doubt,
Yeah.
because you can back it up.
It's a whole, don't you find that, well, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but there are so many creative ways that people are monetizing, and so many creative ways that they're generating income, that it's these are all on my list of ideas. Every time I see one, today I just saw one. What did I see today? And I thought, oh my goodness, what a great idea. Now, will I ever get to it? No.
Mm.
But I still write it down. But yeah, the Amazon thing, I mean, I've read a lot about who was it? Scott somebody, I forget.
Yeah, Scott Stamper, I think. There's
Maybe
one guy
this,
that does a lot of it.
yeah, and
And he does it big time, doesn't he?
well, yeah, like
Yeah.
like he's got all kinds of ebooks.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it became clear to me after Tell Your Time. It became really clear. And then I did the KDP Select thing where,
Yep. Yep.
where I made it exclusive on Amazon because again, experiment. That's all I do. I'm like, ooh, I wonder
Mm.
what would happen if I did this. So
Great.
I did the
Yep.
KDP Select thing, and
Yep.
it was obvious. I mean, for me, it didn't do much because I think it's helpful for those who are not, um, who are trying to break in. But because mine was already on the bestseller list, you know, it didn't really do a whole lot for me as far
Yes,
as
I see. Yeah.
sales. You know what I'm saying? And I think really
Yes.
it
Yeah.
benefits the people who have more than one.
Yeah. Or
That's the
they're
main
just
thing.
launching it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like you're saying, but this, I mean, I was looking at this I want to say Steve Scott or something.
I think
Anyway,
it's Scott Steve. Yeah, I know who you mean. I'll
yeah,
find it and put the link in our,
yeah.
to
And
you.
he's
Yeah.
he's just like launching all kinds of ebooks. And I
Yeah.
saw an interview with him, and he said that's really what his strategy is now. He's like
Yes. Yeah.
hardly doing any blogging. I mean, he's doing some, but not a lot. But really, it's just like churning out the books on Amazon. And then, once you have multiple books on Amazon, and
Yeah.
then I think you'd really start to see, you know, the
Yeah.
traction, like for
Yeah.
me, just one book, it doesn't do a whole lot, especially because it's not
No.
really associated with my blog.
Yeah. I
So,
understand. And it doesn't drive people to your blog either, really. So
so
there's,
okay, so here's my question. Can I ask you my
okay.
question?
Yeah.
When you said, when you said, is it that they're putting on their author page, or they're
Yeah.
putting right in their book? Because I've seen
Right
that
in the book.
too. Yeah, like,
Yep.
oh, and you know
I
what?
don't think, I actually don't think many people look at the author pages, but it's nice
Yeah,
to have
author
it there.
page.
I think you've got to get, and look, I'm on a list. I'll send you the link. It's called Daily Free Ebooks. I
Uh,
think I'll put it in this interview show notes too. It is the best list to be on, Amy, because every morning I get an email that tells me all the free books that are available on Amazon today
mm-hmm,
in the chosen niche that I select. So
mm-hmm,
I select things like making money online and, blogging and things like that, business. So it tells me, every day I'm getting like an offer of 100 books that are
mm-hmm.
free, KDP, and they're in my niche. And so it's very easy for me to click buy because it's not costing me anything. So I've got like 800 books, if you know what I mean. I didn't
Right.
pay for anything, right? So the point is that every now and again I actually do read a couple. And yeah, so I'm seeing the strategies they're doing. I think that's what I'm trying to get to. And in these books, I'm seeing the different ways they're strategizing their opt-ins. I call it opt-ins, right?
Right.
They're trying to drive you to the website.
Yeah.
So there's giveaways. So if it's a book about graphics, they'll say go to here to get my free graphics pack. If
Right.
it's a book about blogging, go here and you'll get 3 videos of free training on how to set up your blog.
Hmm.
Go here, and it's got to be something that's really advantageous to that person that purchased that book,
Right.
or they're not going to go. But it's not hard for you to work out what they're looking for, and you can split test it. They're putting it right at the front of the book, so as soon as you get through the cover page, it
Exactly.
says, "Hey, hi," and there's a photo. This is who I am. This
Right.
is what I do.
And
Yeah.
the other advantage to that, of course, is that when they the first 10% you can get for free. Like if it's a paid for book, if it's not a free book, you put it within the first 10% of the book, and that's when they,
Yes.
like look inside, and so they can see inside without even having to buy the book.
Very good, very, very
You know what
good
I'm
point. They're going
saying?
to opt in right from the preview.
Right.
Look,
So,
you can embed videos into Kindle books, and that can be a video of you saying, "Hi, I'm Amy. I love to blog. This is what I've been doing, and I've got some great news. I'm launching this new product next month. So if you want to get a preview of it free, but and it's anyone can watch these videos on this. So these are things that if you really get into it, and I get that. I bet that Scott guy
yeah.
is in. He's
Oh,
nailed
yeah.
all these techniques. But yeah, definitely it's in the book. You can also put it, I think, on your I don't know if you can put on your. I know that on the author page they're funny about links, so they're only allowed to do like one or two links. So you just do to your
Yeah,
web
you
page.
can't put anything
Yeah,
on your author page really, but I mean, you can
yeah,
put a video. I don't think I've seen a
yeah.
video in a book though. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's HTML. So when you're
Oh,
formatting it, you've
yeah.
got to create an HTML. And yeah, I don't know how to do it, but I know it can be done because I've seen it. I've got a book on golf. Don't ask me why. And it actually had tutorials on the video of,
Wow.
yeah, and it just linked to the YouTube link. So how's that? And it was in the book. Didn't send me off to YouTube. It watched the video right in the book.
Wow.
So yes, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But I mean, also you can syndicate this across other platforms, maybe with
Hmm.
Create Space if you're lazy. So it goes to iBooks and everything, and that's going to help. It's great for search engine optimization. So for
Hmm.
you, it's your
Yeah.
keywords. It's going to get you ranking higher, as does YouTube videos. So
Yeah.
I think YouTube videos are the best at the minute. But look, what you need, and this is just me as a friend to you, you need a money product, right?
Yeah.
You need to be sending them somewhere for a reason. So going to your blog to sign in is a good reason because you're building up the community, the email list.
Hmm.
But from there, we need to get something from you that you can sell for $100 or $200. Obviously, you've got to go think about this, but then you're going to start making serious money, because you've
Yeah.
got the platform. You've got the Michael Hyatt quintessential platform, you know.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
ripe for monetization. And that's what your readers will want. They'll want structured courses and training guides and stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
don't look. Yeah.
yeah, I do. It's hard for me to, well, I just like the idea of, you know, giving people information because so many people gave me information, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and affiliate marketing, I do pretty well. So, I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's working for me at the moment. So
Yeah.
it's
So you're
I
telling me you do affiliate marketing from your blog. Is
yes,
that what you're telling me?
yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
forgot to
my
ask you that. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
That's my main. I mean, the ebook, I sell the ebook, and then affiliate marketing is my main strategy. I never really got into ads at this point. Not that I'm not open to them, but we'll see how it goes down the road. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think also with affiliate marketing, the best way to make money is actually emailing out. So
yeah.
if you look at Pro Blogger, I went to his event last year and he said, I think it was 90% or 95, it was a huge figure, came from money they got when they emailed out an offer,
Hmm.
not when people just came onto his blog and saw an ad and whatever.
Yes.
So that's telling you that the money is in the list. I know people hate that term,
Yeah.
but from a strategic point of view, collecting emails is important, and then just selling it on your blog's not enough. You want to be emailing to them. So
Yeah.
it is like treating your blog now as a business, and I guess that's the road you're on at the moment, sort of getting to that stage.
Hmm.
I remember Pro Blogger saying that when you want to make money online, it's like one day you get up and you decide it, and then everything's different. You look at everything objectively, and
Right.
so I guess you're going through that. But yeah, I'd love to see you come out with a money product, and I'd love to help you promote it, as I'm sure many would. So,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, there are, like I said, I've got a number of things in the pipeline at the moment that will be well, relatively big changes for me. So, um, yeah, that'll be
yeah,
interesting to see how all of that
I'd
goes.
love to.
But
Yeah, I'd love to
yeah.
hear about that too when you do it. I'm sure I will because I'm on your email list and I'm on your Facebook page, which I know you're really active. So, I'm loving all that. But look, I'd like to wrap it up here. Do you just have any advice for a new blogger or someone that's blogging and listening today that, anything at all that might help them get there better and more enjoyably? Or that's not very good grammar either, is it?
Yeah, I would say probably the main thing that I hear from people is just discouragement because, they've been blogging for 3 months and how come I'm not making any money? And
Right.
I just, I just want to say, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It really it takes a long time and it takes a lot of work. So
Yeah.
I when somebody emailed me not too long ago, and they were kind of like basically like, okay, I need $40,000 by July,
Oh,
like how do I
you go
do
to a
it,
bank.
and I'm like, oh, I'm like, it's this blogging is really not a great a great way to do
Yeah.
that if you need it quickly. So it's got to be something that you really enjoy doing too. So
Yes. Yeah.
if you don't, if it's not fun, you're not blogging about something that's fun for you, then other people, it's hard to retain readers, especially now. I mean, just millions and millions and millions of blogs,
Mm.
that it's
Yeah.
hard. It's really hard. Even if you're like the most unique, in the world, it's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
The other thing too is relationships are key. You really have to be willing to build relationships and sustain
Mm.
those relationships and stuff like that, because that's really where, um, at least for me, in my experience, that's where, I've seen the most monetary success. If I'm looking at it monetarily, that's, it's
Yeah.
been the relationships that have really helped. So
It's been over time. It's not been overnight. So
exactly, yeah, it takes a
yeah.
long, I mean, it's just like any other business. The nice thing about it is that the internet really levels the playing field in a lot of ways. And it's great that you don't have to invest a lot of money. I was talking to a friend of mine not too long ago, and she started a business, a brick and mortar business about the same time that I started blogging. Well, I mean, their revenue is significantly higher than mine is, but they are into up to their eyeballs in debt, because they
Yeah.
had to buy the inventory and they had to buy all the equipment and they had to do all this stuff. And so, but now she feels stuck, because she feels
Yeah.
like it's not something that I'm totally passionate about doing, but because
Mm.
it is what it is, and now we have employees and these employees are depending on me, like, the morning rolls around and I just don't want to get up, but I have to. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, you know,
Mm.
I'm, I mean, it's, obviously the revenue is nice, but I wouldn't want to do that, I just,
Look, I hear online a lot that the thing with making money online, whether it's your blog or your website, is that the word freedom. You
yeah,
have the choice, you have the power. You haven't invested 200,000. To drive traffic using Facebook, it might cost you money, but it's probably going to make you a bit more. So it is, So yeah, I get what you're saying with your friend. It's like it's full of risk, it's full of stress, it's have tos and must dos. Whereas with us, it's choice and it's freedom. And
yeah,
obviously, that's why we're not millionaires yet, because we choose
right.
not to work as hard as your friend probably does.
Yeah,
Probably if we worked as hard as her, we'd be rich.
but I mean, it's nice. It's nice too to be able to say, you know what, I don't feel like it today, and no, nobody's gonna die.
Yeah,
Like, that to me, that is really really key, because
yeah,
otherwise you're just, I mean, the bank isn't gonna stop knocking just because you don't feel like working.
yeah,
But when
yeah,
you're not in under your limit there,
yeah.
you have a little bit more freedom, which is, yeah, definitely key. So I think it's a great thing to get in on, but it's getting admittedly harder and harder and harder for,
Right.
for people to get in and really, you know,
Build that platform. Yeah.
yeah, because
If
it's
that's their
so
goal, if
much,
that's their
right?
goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is getting easier to blog. It's just getting harder to probably make money from it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's getting harder to be noticed, I think,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I said a while back, even a golden needle is hard to find in a haystack. Like, you could
Mm,
have the best idea ever, but if
mm,
you're, if your idea is golden, you know, even a golden needle is hard,
mm,
to
mm.
find. So,
Yeah. You've
that's
got to go
what's
learn it.
difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to go learn SEO, and you've got to diversify your syndication and get it out. Yeah, I mean that's it. But you've got to start somewhere, start writing and get something that you can sell, and then just work from there, I guess. And it's
Oh,
kind of what
yeah.
you did, when you think about it.
Oh,
So,
yeah. And people do it
yeah.
all the time. It's not
Yeah.
impossible. It's just,
No.
yeah, you've
No.
got to be, for those of us who started blogging a while ago, we have an advantage. Although my situation is different because I wasn't interested in monetization for years, so it really
Yeah.
wasn't until 2010 that I even started thinking about it. And
Yeah,
now,
but that's really common. That's common for bloggers.
yes,
They
yes,
don't even collect emails for years like me because we don't realize we're supposed to.
exactly.
And then one day we go, oh my gosh, how am I going to monetize? I ain't got a list.
Exactly. Like,
Get
oh
annoying.
man, what would have happened if I would have started this back in
I know.
2004?
I'd be bigger than Darren Rouse if I
Yeah.
just could.
Yeah. I
Exactly. I
remember
know.
when Darren was blogging, he was still blogging at his very first blog. I was reading him at his very first blog. So I think he started, if I'm not mistaken, I think he started in 2002, and I was
Yeah.
researching it just the following year. So I didn't actually launch until 2004, but
Right.
I mean, that was way back, and so it's kind of amazing to see, wow, where he's come in that same amount of time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And he's
it's
a really nice guy. So
yes, yes,
that's lovely. But I first saw him on a current affair in Australia. He actually lives in Melbourne, not far from me, but
uh-huh.
we're not old friends or anything. But yeah, I mean, he was on current affair, and they're asking him, so how do you make money online with blogs? And he's going, well, he's being all coy about it because he's so shy. You could tell he was not in a comfort zone. But anyway,
Yeah.
that was where I first saw him. But anyway, look, I think I might wrap it up there, Amy. And look, I want to thank you again for being such a fabulous guest. And I would love to interview you again in a year's time and see where you've gone and what's happening. And I look forward to chatting to you again soon.
Thanks so much, Kate. It was great to talk to you.
Lovely. Thanks, mate. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.